Welcome back, everyone. Hopefully, I think this was the last part. I tried looking it up to see how much longer we got since that first part was so long compared to the other ones, I think. Um, but I don't know how long the rest of this part will be, so we'll just continue going on with that. So let's see, 18th February, 12:52 p.m., Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. What on earth just happened in there? Oh yeah, we got smoked out.
Mr. Naruhodo, I've managed to find out what happened.
Mr. Sato,
I was told it was an advanced form of smoke grenade, a type of exploding device that releases smoke.
a smoke grenade. It sounds like the sort of thing ninjas use.
They're just making sure everything is safe now. I think the trial will start again before long.
But who would have done something like that?
The police managed to catch someone who was trying to flee the courtroom, apparently.
Flee the courtroom? Why?
Well, it's a young girl of around 15, I hear.
A young girl? Then could it be the other passenger that Mr. McGilda was just talking about?
My thoughts exactly.
So he wasn't lying. Oh, what's become of Mr. McGilda, actually? There's so many things I need to ask him about, but he's not here.
I think he was summoned to the prosecutor's antechamber to answer questions, along with the young girl.
Who is she, I wonder? And what was she even doing here at the trial? She was taking a huge risk, and for what possible benefit to herself?
There's another matter that's troubling me.
What's that?
The 20 pence.
Hmm? Oh,
According to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, he took 4 passengers that night at a fare of 5 pence each. That comes to a total of 20 pence exactly,
but now it seems there were in fact 5 passengers.
which means the figures don't seem to add up again.
She's right. That is strange. Uh, Counsel for the defense, kindly proceed to the courtroom. The trial will recommence in 5 minutes. Oh, thank you, officer. We'll go in straight away.
Well, whoever she is, I imagine this young girl will be asked to take the stand and testify now. I really can't imagine what she's going to say, but it could alter the whole direction of the trial.
We'll know soon enough, Miss Susato.
Yes,
I hope we will. 18th February, 1 p.m., the Old Bailey courtroom. Oh, and I still need to get 2 of them on my side. Somehow, though. There's a young girl next to Mr. McGilded, look. She must have been the one who caused the disturbance before. Let me see if I remember his voice from 2 days ago. Well, after that rather eventful recess, the court will now resume the trial of Mr. Magnus McGilded. Now then, Lord Van Zeeks. My lord. I believe you have established the cause of the smoke which veiled proceedings earlier. It seems to have been an advanced form of a smoke grenade, of the sort typically employed by the army. Good gracious, the army? What in the devil's name? It was an elaborate attempt by a young girl to cloak her escape from the public gallery, but she was caught, and now occupies the stand. Your name, girl? Are you responsible for the smoke grenade which induced such pandemonium here in my courtroom? What is the meaning of this deplorable behavior? And, if I may, my lord. Yes, Mr. McGilded? I think perhaps I ought to explain here. Why it is that this wee lass was here in the first place, and why she tried to bolt like that. 'Tis all tied up with the events of that night, so it is. Very well, Mr. McGilded. Give your testimony. You will explain everything to the court exactly how this young woman is involved in the case. Just what did happen that night? That's what we're trying to figure out. It's not like a defense lawyer needs that information or anything. Ooh, their witness testimony. Young girl. On the night in question, I took this back seat in the omnibus and promptly nodded off. Then begorra! A loud thud and a wee scream woke me up with a fair start. There was a fella collapsed on the floor at me feet, so I sat him up on the seat across from me. Then I turned to find out where that scream had come from, and bless my soul, what did I find? There was a child in there, all curled up in a ball, hiding her wee self away. I remain somewhat baffled, I confess, but from what I gathered on the night in question, this young girl was indeed riding in the omnibus. Is that correct? Just exactly as the defense counsel said. This last was the fifth passenger, my lord. Very well. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. Are you ready, counsel? Yes, my lord. Yeah, I'm ready to cross-examine them. Or rather, no. I have no idea where to start. What's he got to say? Nothing. Okay. Oh yeah, I forgot I only have one more chance left, so I gotta take this lightly.
Hold it!
And when did you first, and when you first got onto the omnibus, were there any other passengers already on board? There were not. The cabin was empty, and there was no one on the roof deck either. You were the first passenger, as it were. I see. Aye, and that's why I took the back side as I did. 'Tis the most comfortable, so it is. Could you explain exactly what you mean by the back seat? By all means, 'tis how you already described it earlier. I'm talking about the seat opposite the one in which the poor gentleman who was stabbed was sitting. Like I said, 'tis the most comfortable and where I feel most at ease. And of course, I enjoy gazing through the skylight from time to time as well. Alright, let's get this one going. A loud thud, you say? And a scream? Aye, that's right. How can I explain it? 'Twas like the sound of someone falling to the ground. That sort of noise. So you think it was the sound of Mr. Mason falling to the floor having been stabbed? Well now, you'll remember I was asleep at the time, so I wouldn't like to say. And when the sound woke me, and I opened my eyes, there wasn't a soul to be seen in the carriage but the fellow on the floor. You didn't see anyone. But at the same moment, you did hear a scream? Ah, from the seats above you on the roof deck, I presume? Not above me, my lord, no. Not above me, no, my lord. 'Twas from inside the cabin. But I wasn't altogether thinking about the scream. No, I was too stunned by the desperate sight before me eyes. So was she hiding under the seat? And staring out and saw it happen, or what?
Hold it!
You sat him up? The victim, you mean? That I did, on the seat across from me, as I said. I could plainly see the poor devil was already gone. And you wouldn't leave a dead man just lying on the floor now, would you? 'Tis common courtesy, so it is. I find that a little hard to believe. Ah, my Lord Van Zeeks. Now, why would that be? You wake to find a man lying dead at your feet in a carriage. Any normal person would hail the cabman. Any upstanding member of London society, that is. Using his own words against him. Well now, as you know, I'm in something of a special line of business. The business of lending money at an exorbitant price, or rates of interest with exorbitant. Well, unfortunately, my lord, not everyone is thankful for the help I offer them, and some would even see me dead. So I do try, where at all possible, to avoid getting myself in a tangle with trouble. Are you suggesting you were just going to leave the man there? Heavens alive, no. I always intended to report it, so I was. Only, I had a mind to find out the whys and wherefores first, or wherefores first, sorry. The whys and wherefores. Right you are. There were some details I wanted to understand before anyone else got to meddling. That wee scream I heard, for example. Wouldn't your good self do just the same? Yes. The scream he says he heard at the same time as the thud of the victim collapsing.
Hold it!
I'm afraid I don't understand. I'm sure you told the court that there was no one else in the carriage except yourself and the victim. So I did, sir. So I did. As far as I could see, that is. What do you mean by that? Well now, 'tis a queer thing, or a queer ting, the wee scream I heard as I woke up. It came from, if you'll excuse the vulgar expression, under me backside. Good gracious! The bodacious? Under your backside? And when I lifted the seat on which I'd been sitting, I found there was a wee cubbyhole there for storage. Okay.
Mr. Naruhodo, we can examine the omnibus ourselves, remember?
Yes, of course, the whole bus was submitted as evidence.
This would be a very good time to have a thorough look around inside.
And that's when I found her. Okay. Oh, well,
I do wonder how you must be feeling, Mr. Naruhodo.
being the defendant's lawyer and yet finding myself as stunned as everyone else at his testimony? Let's just say it's trying.
We certainly had precious little time to talk to Mr. McGilda before the trial. But we mustn't be dispirited. We must try to learn all the facts we can.
When we arrived in London this morning, I didn't see my day planning out like this.
Mr. Naruhodo, no grumbling, even in your head.
How did you know? So I need to question that last one, go through that thing again, and then present or examine this inside. Yep. I don't think I looked at this one before. That's blood, isn't it?
Is something wrong?
Oh, it's just, well, this blood stain is so obvious, that's all. And yet, Van Zieks made no mention of it.
I suppose that does seem a little strange.
Why do I have such a bad feeling about this? So maybe that part's not blood? It looks less dark than this one, so that means it's fresher or not? Yep, there we go. This is a storage compartment, but there's nothing in here. It's totally empty. Something doesn't seem right here, but I can't put my finger on what it is. All the luggage is gone. Wait, all the luggage in the blood wasn't there before, was it?
Hold it!
You say she was hiding herself? Aye, that's right. It was hard to see in the dim lamplight, but she was all curled up in a wee ball when our eyes met. Well, me heart nearly stopped beating in me chest. Ugh, you're really overreacting this. Still and all, I pulled her out from under there and sat her on the seat opposite so I could have a wee chin wag with her. The seat opposite? That's right, just next to the gentleman there. You sat this young girl next to a corpse, sir? Well, as I'm sure I mentioned, a gentleman in my position can all too often find himself in mortal danger. So I needed to find out just who this urchin was, you see? And while I was hiding in the middle of talking with her, I heard another scream, a fella's voice this time. Presumably that scream was Mr. First, who was sitting on the roof deck seats. Right you are again, I would say, sir. Looking down through the skylight, he must have seen this young girl and the gentleman with a knife in his belly. In other words, the previous witnesses did not, in fact, see you at all, Mr. McGilda. What they believed to be yourself and the victim was, in fact, this girl and the late Mr. Mason? Aye, my lord. I was, as I think everyone understands now, sat at the back of the carriage out of sight. It is certainly plausible. The defendant is somewhat diminutive in stature, and readily confused, perhaps, with this young girl. After that, of course, with the scream from the gentleman over us, the driver realized something was wrong and pulled up the horses. Thank you. I've heard enough. The events, as explained, are clear in my mind. However, at least one conundrum remains. Who is the girl? Her name is Gina Lestrade, my lord. She's a chancer. Earns her crust among large crowds relieving people of their purses. What's commonly called a pot picket, or a pickpocket. What? This girl here? A petty thief? Well, she's dressed like one naturally is in like those kind of things. Order, order. Is this true, Miss Lestrade? Miss Lestrade, you will answer the question. She got the blicky. Oh, how dare you? What is the meaning of this? Oh, the girl. She's gone. Open your eyes. I'm over here, or over here. Good gracious, how? What was the point in that little sidestep?
I know what you lot are thinking. Grown-ups are all the same. This dirty little tipper, you say, slipped up and got caught on the job. She got herself back into a corner, so she knocked the gent. Go on, that's what's in your heads, ain't it?
No, not at all. This is a court of law. We're here to determine the truth, not cast. Really?
Look, knives are made for cowards. Only dogs use weapons like that. All I need for what is these fingers. I'm a professional, alright? Maybe not on your eyes, but I got pride in what I do.
Let me guess. You don't count smoke guns among weapons for thugs?
Oh, this? Yeah, this is in a bag I lifted the other day, down where they keep the four-wheel drags. It's nice, isn't it? I like the pink best.
Oh, do not wave that thing in my direction again. So, you admit that you were riding the omnibus that night in question? It's alright, lass. You can tell them the truth now.
Alright, yeah. It was just like the Irishman said.
The court accepts this girl, Miss Gina Lestrade, as a valid and significant witness in this case. Accordingly, young lady, we will now hear your testimony, if you please. You will tell the court exactly what happened in the omnibus on the night in question.
Alright, if I have to.
So the second witness testimony, what the girl saw.
So I snuck inside the carriage before they hooked up the horses, just like always.
But it was a right old waste of time.
I got nothing to show for me troubles that night. I'll tell you, you can't see a blind thing in that hiding place. It's pitch in there. Then, after a while, I hear this loud bang. Nearly jumped out of me skin, I did. And the scream just came out. It's because of that. This swell found me. He did help me get away, mind.
So is she saying that she didn't get nothing, but then she went back and looked? Yes, he let you go. I fail to understand why you would let the street urchin go, Mr. McGilded. Oh, 'tis simplicity itself, my lord. You see, she couldn't possibly have killed the other passenger. I knew that for a fact. How? As I'm sure I said before, sir. I was sitting right on top of the place where she was hiding herself. I think a demonstration is called for. This is where I was sat up that night. And the cubbyhole of which you have spoken is underneath this seat, I presume? Yes, it does appear just large enough to accommodate someone of the girl's stature. Aye, but of course, the wee lass was stuck in there, because I'd parked myself on the seat for the duration. Oh, so you see, that's why I let the lass bolt. I knew if the police found her there, they'd automatically assume she'd done it. But I couldn't live with myself if a young life was ruined when all the time I knew she was innocent. Even though you must have realized your action would result in your own innocence being called into question? Not at all, my lord, not at all. That was important, probably. I knew in my own heart that I was innocent. So I thought it was worth taking a punt on my own good name for the sake of this less fortunate lass. My goodness.
What a perfect gentleman.
My lord, this fine example of a man cannot possibly be guilty of a heinous crime like this. I'm ashamed of myself for ever doubting you, sir. Oh, okay, so that was his little thing? With calm, calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time. So we got him innocent, but it doesn't feel like this should be the end of the trial. It feels like there's still other stuff going on. Saints alive! All 6 members of the jury consensual, and they're leaning to a verdict of not guilty?
Mr. Not heard of this. Well, it must mean
It must mean what?
that we're victorious.
We've won? Are you sure?
Objection!
Yeah. Oh, you got the whole thing up. Put that thing down, sir. What's that smell? Somebody! Anybody! Oh! If the sight of my iron-hilled Wellington offends, pray do forgive the discourtesy. This really is a consummate example of the one monumental flaw in British judicial practices. Where evidence and reasoning should be paramount, emotion rules the day. Emotion? The witness's latest statement gives us a clear insight into his true nature. What do you mean, his true nature? Do you really think Scotland Yard would have made such a glaring omission? After the incident, the omnibus was comprehensively searched by officers of the police. Obviously, the interior of this cubbyhole, as the witness put it, was included in their investigation. The compartment under the posterior seat was full of the coachman's belongings. It's noted in black and white here in the police report. Good lord! The evidence has been tampered with. In order to corroborate Mr. McGilded's story, someone has unlawfully removed everything from under the seat. What? That wasn't a shock to me, I knew it. I saw it. Order! Order! How could such a devious contrivance possibly have been effected, counsel? Naturally, we must acknowledge the deficiencies of the constabulary in allowing this to have happened. However, I assure you, when the omnibus was wheeled into the courtroom this morning, the compartment under the seat was not empty. Well, my Nipponese friend. Me? When the carriage was submitted as evidence, doubtless you examined it in fine detail, as would any self-respecting practitioner of the law. Pray, what did you find the condition of the underseat compartment to be? Oh, to be sure, the young gentleman will be able to clear this up in a jiffy. Sorry? Go ahead, you'll tell the court now, fella. How this is an elaborate excuse by the desperate Lord Van Zeeks. Nuh-uh, I'm here for the truth, and the truth is, you a bitch. Well, counsel, do you have something to say on this matter? How am I supposed to answer? What can I say about the state of that little compartment under the seat in the omnibus? It wasn't empty. I really don't know if giving this answer is helping my case as a counsel for the defense, but as far as I remember at least. When I first examined the compartment, I'm fairly certain there are a number of articles inside it, yes. Are you sure, counsel? Be whist? What are you saying now, you daft doll? I thought you were on my side here. No, I'm keeping the truth up. I'm on the side of justice. What game are you playing? Your task is to defend the man in the stand. Why would you say something to compromise his position? Let me answer. I'll give him an answer. As the advocate for the defense in this trial, I confess I'm still not entirely sure where I stand, but it seems to me that I should state what facts I do know as clearly and honestly as possible. Interesting. Just not altogether pleasing, fella. I'm simply telling the truth, Mr. McGilded. Well, don't forget that you're supposed to be representing my best interest here, lad. Now then. A fella's memory is a curious thing, and not altogether reliable. No, the court must consider the facts. That their cubbyhole under the seat is as empty as the devil's heart, so it is. Do you think perhaps it would be in your best interest now to admit that you might have been mistaken? Why do I feel like something's not right here? I should like the jury to weigh in on this matter, I think. That compartment is designed to house equipment used to maintain the smooth running of the carriage. The Guild's rules state that omnibuses should be properly and fully equipped at all times. So it certainly wouldn't have been empty on the night in question. Beppo isn't that irresponsible. That money-lending fleecer in the pick purse are lying. There we go. I can't believe I was nearly taken in. The stinking rich are always stinkers. Nothing but cowards, a lot of them. What? Oh no. It's a trick. Of course it's a trick. Quite so. I must concur here. With calm, calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time. Yes, but every time a different truth, it seems. My lord, I humbly exhibit the scales of justice. Clearly, a verdict of not guilty at this time would be wholly inappropriate. Thank you, counsel. But before we proceed any further, there is the matter of the outstanding cross-examination. Counsel for the defense, begin your questioning of the witness, please. Yes, my lord. What just happened? The whole balance of the trial just shifted, almost beyond recognition. The Reaper of the Bailey is at work, it would seem. Alright, let's get this going.
Hold it!
Let's see. So, you were already in the omnibus before it even set off in its run?
Well, yeah. I mean, what's the point of spinning a joey to make a few bob, eh? It's a wrong idea, isn't it?
I suppose she means there's no point spending money to make money. It actually makes sense. Counsel, ma'am, I remind you that this young girl is a petty thief. Kindly refrain from entertaining her tenants. Well, that does clear up a little mystery of the fares and all. 4 paying passengers at 5 pence apiece, making the 20 to which the cabman testified. And 1 little scapegrace riding for free.
The red corncover driver always goes for some grub before his last run, see? So that's when I slip into the carriage and get myself hidden under the seat. Nice and easy, right?
But your hiding place in a storage is in a storage department full of equipment for the coach, no?
Yeah, there's brushes and buckets and whatnot in there for sure. Always chuck all that out and cram it in a corner somewhere. No one ever seems to bother much.
And yet, according to the report filed by the police officer who first arrived at the scene, the compartment was full of such paraphernalia.
Well, I don't know or don't know nothing about that. Like I said, I moved all that stuff out so I could hide under that seat. That's all I could tell you.
It seems we've reached the end of that line of inquiry. Continue.
Hold it!
A waste of time. Why is that?
Well, most nights I'm on my own in the court. Permit, at least some of the time.
I beg your pardon? Did you say God permit?
Oh yeah, well that's not what my kind call it. You'd say the omnibus, I suppose. The point is, any normal run, the carriage ain't got no one in it for a while.
And that's when you come out of your hiding place and get away? That... let me get that voice right again.
That's it?
Or...
That's it? Only that night. This cove was sat on me seat from the start, and he didn't budge the whole way, did he? Not 1 inch. I was totally stuck.
Do you mean to tell us that you were present in the carriage for the duration? You were under the seat the entire time while events unfolded in the enclosed cabin?
Yep. Right, mister.
To be sure, to be sure. I was as shocked as anyone. You don't expect to lift the cushion you've been sat on in front of child now, do you? So this Lestrade couldn't possibly be the culprit then.
Hold it!
So you couldn't see out into the cabin at all?
No, Joe. Most days I push the cushion with me head and look out the crack. They're not gonna have a butcher's at who I'm gonna fiddle.
I thought you were a pickpocket, not a butcher.
I mean, I can have a look. The seat I get under ain't as plush as the other one, see? So most of the time, the passengers plant themselves the opposite. But for some reason,
Or, I'm messing up this voice a lot. I'm gonna get it.
But for some reason that night, this here Irishman spent the whole journey right over me head.
And for that reason, you weren't able to push the cushion up to peek out, I see. Or, I see.
Truth is, I ain't too happy in small dark places. It feels too much like being thrown in the clink. But it's the only place to hide them carriages, so it's Obson's choice.
Why doesn't she just stick to picking people's pockets in the open then? I say there's some reason that she's not letting on, judging from her demeanor.
So anyways, I was a bit scared, but I had to just stick it out under there, nothing else for it.
Hold it!
And then one more to go through this. When you say a loud bang, do you mean the noise of someone falling onto the floor?
Could have been, I suppose, or don't remember so well. Point is, it made me jump.
And you let out a scream, involuntarily?
That's right, and then I felt the cushion over my head get lighter of a sudden.
Presumably when the defendant got up in order to help the victim, yes? Or not. It could equally have been the moment the accused stood in order to stab his victim, could it not? Well, girl, did you see what happened at that crucial moment?
Yeah, I saw it. I pushed up the cushion and had a quick butcher's while I had the chance, didn't I? The Irishman was sitting up the below quart and had fallen on the floor in the seat opposite. That matches Mr. McGildy's account, of course. But then, the fella suddenly turns around and looks right at me. I sunk back down again, but it was too late then. By then, I should have never have risked looking.
And when Mr. McGill discovered you, he pulled you out from your hiding place?
I was scared stiff, I was. He dragged me out and sat me down the seat and all.
Next to the victim, Mr. Mason?
Yeah, the bloke had a knife in his guts. It was still bleeding. Then the carriage lurched a bit and it ended up falling onto me.
Ugh.
How awful.
Both me hands got covered in blood.
Made me feel sick as a dog.
Both her hands covered in blood. That must be what the rooftop passengers saw. After that, I believe you talked with Mr. Gilded for a while. Is that correct?
He asked me some stuff. Wanted to know me name and what I was up to and that. Then I heard something from above. Someone screamed.
Yeah. Yes, Mr. First on the roof deck, one would presume.
Well, I didn't want no one to see me face, so I didn't look up. Then the horses were drawing up smartish, and this here Irishman says to me, "Get back under the seat."
Or,
Get back under the seat. I see that you can get away later. All 6 members of the jury have decided the defendant was innocent.
for one brief shining moment, yes.
It's clear that they are still very unsure. If we could just find some conclusive piece of evidence among this new testimony, I'm sure we would clinch the verdict we want.
Yes, I think you're right. And I have this feeling, I'm not saying that something's bothering me, but I just can't quite put my finger on it.
Well, no.
Oh, okay, there we go. Something new.
Excuse me.
What are you laughing about? Is something wrong, Mr. McGilded? Oh, I do apologize. Was there something the matter, Counsel? I'm just wondering if Miss Lestrade's last comment made something occur to you, perhaps. You seem to be thinking something to yourself. Oh, no, 'twas nothing important. I was feeling bad for the poor lass is all. I remember feeling desperate myself as a young lad, shut up in the dark. 'Twas terrifying, so it was. I see, yes. I'm sure we can all sympathize. I'm still scared of the dark now. Aye, and I don't know about yourself, but I find that the darkness seems to make everything you hear seem that much louder as well.
Yeah. Oh, I suppose it does.
Miss Lestrade? Did you hear something that night? Anything? An unusual noise, perhaps?
No, not really. All I could hear was the Irishman snoring.
But Jabers, there's no need to tell the whole world of me foibles, you little scamp.
What a pity. If only Miss Lestrade had heard something, it might have given us a vital new clue.
Yes. What should we make of that last statement of hers? It's profoundly important? My lord, I believe the statement just made by the witness is profoundly important. Profoundly important, but all she said was that she heard nothing. Yes, which is the profoundly important point. I'm almost sure of it. Oh yeah. How could she hear some other things and not hear nothing, you know? I'm almost sure I don't understand the inner workings of your Eastern mind, Counsel. Nevertheless. Miss Gina Lestrade, you will supplement your formal testimony by repeating that last statement, please. Well, supplement? What are you on about? Don't give me all your fancy talk. I know what you're trying to do. Well, it won't work on me. That's right. Insult the judge. Always a good move. I was training my ears to work out what was going on, and all I could hear was snoring.
Hold it!
So we're gonna press that. So you were straining to hear what was happening the entire time, since the moment you hid yourself? Not exactly, no. Sorry. Well, there was no one else in the cabin to start with. I could just push the cushion up and have a butcher's to see what was what. But then when I saw the swell get on, I got me head down, and so he didn't notice me. And Mr. McGill sat on the seat under which you were hiding, correct?
Yeah.
Would you Adam and Eve it, eh? What a mob.
So then, all I could do was listen. I was waiting to jump out of there as soon as I heard him leave, you see. But what if... Not likely. Even though we stopped here and there, I never heard the door open. So I just had to stay and put and listen to him driving his pigs to the market, snoring like an old dog he was.
Are there any conclusions we can draw from that, I wonder? It makes sense, or it doesn't add up, I don't think. Miss Lestrade, what you just told the court is clearly at odds with the facts.
Oh,
At odds? Or are you sure, man? Absolutely. It seems my learned Nipponese friend is not as dull-witted as I feared. So Van Zeeks realized it too. Counsel, I must insist that you bolster your claim with evidence, or some complicit party's name at the very least. Yes, my lord. I expect you to demonstrate this alleged contradiction to the court. According to Mrs. Lestrade, while she was hiding in the omnibus that night, she heard nothing but the sound of Mr. McGilded snoring. But think, Ryunosuke, think. There's something else she should have heard. Show a person? Very well, my lord. Allow me to elaborate. On a particular sound that Mrs. Lestrade could not have failed to hear on the night in question. The sound very clearly explained by the presence of the following person.
Take that!
Oh, it was the victim, okay. Thrice-fired Mason? Yes, my lord. The sound that Miss Lestrade cannot have failed to hear is that of the victim, Mr. Mason, boarding the omnibus. Oh, yeah, because she said that she never heard stops and stuff go off. Order! Order! Explain your reasoning, counsel. Miss Lestrade, allow me to confirm something. You claimed earlier that you were the first person on board the omnibus. Is that correct?
yeah, of course I was. I got on while the driver was in the pub, didn't I?
And the next person aboard the omnibus was Mr. McGilded? That he was. Not a soul in the cabin when I climbed aboard. At least, not in plain sight. So you were, to all intents and purposes, alone in the closed cabin of the omnibus at the time. Did I not just say as much? I was traveling with... I wasn't traveling with anyone else, if that's what you mean.
Yeah, I saw him get on, remember? Through the crack under the seat cushion. He was on his own for sure.
And, from what we've heard, the carriage made a number of stops after that on this onward journey. During which time, did you not hear the door opening or closing at all?
No, I never heard it. That's exactly what I was listening for, wasn't it? Waiting for the swell to leave.
In which case, when and how did the victim end up in the carriage? Oh. We know that the victim collapsed inside the enclosed cabin of the omnibus. Therefore, he was on the outside. And they threw him in? Miss Lestrade's statement about what she did or did not hear is at odds with the facts.
Oh,
Yes, this petty thief's statement was clearly flawed. Lord Van Zeeks? Yes, he knew. He knew it all too well that there was an inconsistency in Miss Lestrade's statement. It would seem words of thanks are in order for my learned friend. What are you talking about? You have demonstrated matters impeccably. This witness and her colorful statements are entirely unreliable. Her words are convenient untruths, nothing more. Yeah, I believe it. I believe that both these people are lying. He's dead right. How could the victim possibly not have boarded the omnibus? That makes no sense whatsoever. She's on overtime right now, and this girl's in the pit pocket. Let's not forget that. Hey now. Ah,
She didn't even say anything. I didn't want to judge poor little mite, or dear little mite, just because she has some rather naughty ways. But I must say, tisk tisk, I can't abide liars.
and neither can I. Mr. Foreman, I didn't want to judge this girl just because she has some less than salubrious ways, but I must say, I cannot abide liars. So I only got one person leaning on me right now. Uh,
Mr. Naruhodo, that's 5 jury members leaning towards guilty.
well, your consideration for others is refreshing, my Nipponese friend. To the considerable troubles you have spared me. Oh no, we gotta put him in his place. Yes, very refreshing. Ah! Gar, what are you playing at? Have you forgotten who you're working for, you useless Eastern Armadillo? Wow. This is carnage. It's perfect. Juror number 2 is the only one left.
Mr. Naruhodo, the way this is going.
I know. We can't find some new way to convince everyone of Mr. McGilda's innocence. The judge will rule, and we'll have lost. I very much wanted to believe the words of one of London's most respected gentlemen, but those of us in service know we must accept hard truths.
Hold it!
Yes, the witness's last statement seemed to have revealed a critical inconsistency in her story. However, if we consider the possibility that her statement is in fact the truth, it may shed an entirely new light on this whole case. What are you saying? Counsel? I'm sorry, sir? Whatever do you mean? Counsel, I will not tolerate you attempting to prorogue my adjudication. Explain yourself at once. When the accused boarded the omnibus on the night in question, the victim was nowhere to be seen. Subsequently, the carriage door was not heard opening a single time, as testified by the witness in the stand. And yet the victim's body was found inside the carriage. If this petty thief's words are to be believed, how do you explain the victim's miraculous appearance inside the cabin of the omnibus? Let me present it to you. There's only one way to explain how the victim came to be inside this carriage. He was put there after he died. I think there's another entrance, right? No. The door wasn't opened even once. The only explanation is that the victim entered the enclosed cabin some other way. I wondered what new fantasy you would come up with in your blind panic. But behold, the omnibus is here for all to see. Only one side of the enclosed cabin is furnished with a door. The other only has windows, fixed windows, which cannot possibly open. In short, there is no other entrance to the cabin other than the door. Oh yeah, I was right, I think. But there could be. There's one possibility you haven't considered. Oh really? Yes, one other way inside that isn't the door. Another opening, the use of which allowed the victim to appear inside the closed cabin. Alright, counsel. The defense will identify the location for the court. Here is the omnibus on which the incident occurred. Where on earth is this entrance by which you propose the victim entered the cabin? Yeah, give it to me right there. The answer is obvious. It can only have been through the skylight. I say, the skylight?
Objection!
Your ludicrous proposal almost had me lost for words. However,
Objection!
ooh, I'm objectioning your objection. The skylight may well be large enough for someone to pass through.
Objection!
So you claim. But do you have a shred of evidence to support your addle-brained theory? Both Mr. McGilded and Miss Lestrade said the same in their testimonies. They each claimed to have heard a loud thud, such as the noise made by someone falling onto the floor. Yes, which has already been explained, as the sound of the victim falling from his seat having been assaulted with a dagger. Yes, it has, but would a man slipping from the seat onto the floor really have made such a loud noise as the witnesses described? A noise loud enough to cause Miss Lestrade to let out an involuntary cry, in fact. Good gracious! Perhaps, in fact, that was the moment that the victim made his entrance into the cabin. No, let me rephrase that. The victim didn't enter the cabin as such. He fell into it.
Objection!
You're now suggesting that the victim fell from the skylight into the cabin? That's simply impossible. How can you be so sure? Because if the victim had fallen inside through the skylight as you say, the passengers on the roof deck would have seen it happen. And yet, not one person made mention of such events in their testimony. Well, yes, that's true, but... Might a humble fella make a wee comment here? Mr. McGilded? To be sure now, the two fellows who were sat on the roof that testified afore said nothing of the victim falling through the skylight. But it seems to me, my lord, that 'tis not so much a case of them not saying, but... Aye. 'Tis a case of them being unable to say. What? I think perhaps the two fellas do be having something of a compelling reason not to mention what happened. Would you not agree, fine ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Oh my goodness. Those two chaps on the roof. You mean the ones who stuck that knife in the man were... Ah! Just what exactly are you still waiting here, you litherer? Oh, what in the world is going on with them? Why is he like a horse and why is he backing it up like that? He's tooting it up for everyone on the court.
You rotter, he said, you rotter. What are you insinuating?
This is flaming outrage. I've got a good mind to give you a blinker in a minute.
He'll give you a shorter in a minute, he said, as a reward.
Mr. Fairplay, you effectively accuse me of sitting gentleman and a well-respected banker.
And me, a very angry hatter.
Suggesting that someone like me could have stabbed that man in the guts. It's a disgrace. It's scandalous. It's, I protest in the strongest possible terms.
That's right, I protest too about you, you rotten scoundrel.
Order! Order! This is not the time, witnesses. I will not presume, or I will not permit this wanted invasion of the stand. Return to the anteroom at once. Oh, they ran in, okay. But this is beyond reason, my lord. Oh, it's outrageous.
It's very unhelpful, you know.
My lord, if I may comment. Go ahead, Lord Van Zeeks. It was the defense that incited this outburst from the witnesses. My learned friend has seen fit to abandon all protocol and accuse the witnesses without proof. Accuse? I never intended to. It seems, young Nipponese, that your command of the English tongue is wanting. You proposed to this court that the victim fell through the skylight from the roof deck of the omnibus. That hypothesis cannot possibly stand without the rooftop passengers being aware of the events. You have branded these gentlemen liars. You have intimidated their criminal guilt. In our British courts of law, that is what is termed a baseless accusation. I know I was rash to put this idea forward without any actual evidence, but you can't just dismiss it without a second thought. What are we wasting our time for? Get them to testify. I thought there was something fishy about that hat from the moment I laid eyes on the fella. We have to see the matter through now, one way or another. If there's filth and rubbish in our midst, we must dispose of it at once.
What's happening, Mr. Naruhodo?
The spectators in the public gallery they're in a complete frenzy. Mr. Fairplay and Mr. First. My lord, you will take the stand again and make another formal testimony in reference to the indictment brought by the defense. Yes, my lord.
I didn't come here for this.
There's no time to think this through. All I can do is keep pushing forward. Witness testimony. Refuting the accusations. We were the only two people up on that roof deck, dead or alive, I can swear to that.
If anything had happened to us while we're sitting, don't you think one of us would have noticed?
In any case, neither of us know the first thing about the victim. We had no reason to kill the man.
Scarlet, what's your... The entire time out there, you couldn't possibly have opened it.
If you're so sure about the victim fell through the skylight, where's your proof? I must say that on listening to this testimony, it is somewhat hard to imagine. Well, the coach is sitting up there too, isn't he? How either witness could have performed any malevolent act on this open rooftop without the other noticing forthwith. That's right, you see?
We're innocent, I'll tell you.
Although logically, of course, the argument falls down to if the two of you were in collusion with one another. What? Eh? According to investigations by Scotland Yard, the two witnesses share no common dealings.
Huh.
Well, I don't trust coppers any more than I trust the stinking rich. Something doesn't feel right here. The trial is going in our favor, really, so why do I feel so uneasy? Counsel for the defense, over to you. Your cross-examination, please. Oh, yes, my lord. Refuting the accusation. We were the only two up on that roof deck, dead or alive, swear to that. So, at no time did the victim, Mr. Mason, climb up to join you on the roof deck? Absolutely not. Dickon.
No question about it, he said. Not at all. Oh, but yes, of course. I remember seeing them both. I saw the victim inside the enclosed cabin, talking with this man here.
Is this true, Mr. McGilded? Dear me, my lord, at the risk of repeating myself, I boarded the omnibus alone and nodded off his eye off immediately. That's an outright lie. Without doubt, you were engaged in... Let me stop you there, fella, and ask. Do you have any evidence at all? Any? Ah. 'Tis all about evidence in courts these days, so it is. You do well to remember that. I saw you with my own eyes. This is going so well. If anything would happen while we're sitting, don't you think one of us would notice? Well, it was on the final run of the omnibus past 10 o'clock in the evening. It would certainly have been quite dark, perhaps too dark to see clearly. Is this some kind of lark?
Is this some kind of joke, he said? Is this what this is?
Or perhaps one or the other of you fell asleep briefly? Are you fair thinking, sir?
Are you serious, sir? That's what he said. It's impossible, I'll tell you.
I'd give you the keys to the vault if you could fall asleep in that bit of code. And if you did manage it, your eyelids would be shut and you'd never open them again. That's extreme.
It was extreme, I'll tell you. And we had to put up with it because this man had locked the door. Any true gent would have unlocked and let me in when I was knocked.
I'm dreadfully sorry about that, young man, but you see, I was away with the Ferris, and I didn't hear you at all.
That's a lie. I saw you through the grass. You were talking to someone.
Now, 'twas a cold night, so it was. People do be seeing things that aren't real in the cold. 'Tis hardly surprising.
Seeing things. Seeing things.
I believe we have reached an impasse here on this particular point.
Oh, you.
Don't take it personally out loud. If I'm a suspect in this case, then it's only fair that you and the other fiend are too. Open and free competition is what a capitalist society is all about.
This isn't a competition I'd like to be involved in, really.
In any case, either of us knows the first thing about the victim. We had no reason to kill the man. So, you had never met Mr. Thrice-Fired Mason before? Oh, Lume, no. Not once, never.
He'd never met the man before, he said. Never.
And you, Mr. First, had no prior dealings with the victim either?
That's right, sir. Hatters don't have much to do with brickmakers, to be perfectly honest, sir.
No, I imagine not. You see, how many different ways can I put this? Neither of us had the remotest connection to the gentleman who was inside the cabin.
Excuse me.
Mr. McGilded? Yes, counsel? What can I be doing for you? Did the witness's last statement give you pause for thought somehow? Not the remotest connection. Is that right now? I wonder. What are you insinuating now? Ah, Mr. Fairplay. It has been too long. So it has. Eh? If I'm not very much mistaken, I believe 'tis fast approaching, is it not, your repayment debt? I beg your pardon. You borrowed 20 guineas from me, sir. At an considerable rate of interest. You tricked me. It's an extortion. Well now, is that a touch of begrudgery, is it? The sort of begrudgery that might motivate a fella to pass his crimes off on another? Ah. And, young Mr. First, me, sir? What do you want with me, sir? You do be making hats for a living, do you not? That there top hat sliding on your head, is that one of your own creations, is it?
Oh, well, I'm still just a apprentice, you understand? I'm longing to find the perfect fit for whatever fine gent walks through the door.
Heh, the perfect fit, is it? Well, 'tis a very distinctive design, so it is.
Many customers like it, I tell you. They like a distinctive touch.
Customers. Such as Thrice-Fired Mason, because he had the same hat.
Oh!
There was a photographic print of the victim submitted as evidence afore, my lord. Ah. This, you mean? I can't help thinking that the poor fellow's hat looks distinctly familiar, wouldn't you say?
Oh! That's one of my hats.
Aye, it is. So it seemed the brickmaster was a customer of yours. The sort of customer I'd wager you could have had a weak quarrel with over the distinctiveness of the goods.
Oh, no, sir. Absolutely not, sir.
Well, there's really nothing more to add. It wouldn't be right to say that the two fellas here haven't the remotest connection to the victim at all. I rest my case. You little weasel. Arr! He's better at this than I am.
Gosh, Mr. McGilder has certainly been thorough in his research, hasn't he?
Please, don't let me little interruption hold up the proceedings.
The scorelight was shut the entire time, I tell you.
Hold it!
Are you quite certain about that? That the skylight was shut the entire time? I'm gonna lose my block with you a minute.
He's gonna lose his rag with you in a minute. That's what he said.
Take a look for yourself. Go on. You see, it's shut fast now, just like it was on the night. So it is, of course. A fellow on the size of Mr. Mason could likely break through. It is, still and all. What? Just look at the sizing of the thing, you understand? Now you hold on there a minute, sir. The size of the thing means nothing. Now, on its own, let's consider the bigger group picture here, shall we? Let's stop fighting arcane, shall we?
I was riding the omnibus on another occasion when, well, I broke wind loudly. I shocked myself with it as it happens.
This is an unexpected confession, Mr. First.
I just meant to say, well, the point is, I tried to open the skylight, you see. But, just my luck, I couldn't make it budge. The stench was terrible. Everyone was looking daggers at me, sir. I went red as a rogue, I did.
Are you expecting me to sentence you?
Oh, no, sir. The point is, the skylight can't be opened. I tried and tried when I was inside the cabin machine.
Excuse me.
Do you have something to say about that, Miss Lestrade? Miss Lestrade.
It opens.
Hmm?
The skylight. That is what we're talking about, right?
I should load that thing up. Who's getting shot?
All them skylights open, dead easy.
More easily than you can load that weapon?
That's a little why I tell you. Otherwise, when I broke wind,
You can't do it from inside, you mug.
Oh!
Look.
A few weeks ago, I was up on the roof deck of one of them drags, and I had a great awe. I mean, I had verses coming out of my ears.
Miss Lestrade, this is not the forum to be eulogizing on the subject of your criminal activities. I don't know what that word is.
Well, anyway, I had a bit of a scare. When I lifted the last bloke's purse, he got wise to me. All four of them surrounded me, so I couldn't hop off the bus and leg it. So what I did, I used the skylight. Opened the catch and jumped right through.
What?
Yeah, and the catch for them skylights is on the top side. That's why you can't open them from the cabin.
The skylight opens from the roof deck? Bailiff! Climb onto the roof of the omnibus at once and verify this witness's claims. Oh yeah, that's easy.
Oh! Oh, my hat. See?
Order! Order! So, it appears that the street girl's statement is quite true. I don't believe it. The skylight opens. And from the roof deck.
Mr. Naruhodo, this could be the clue we've been looking for.
Well, counsel for the defense, please continue with your cross-examination. Yes, my lord. So, the skylight opens. Perhaps I should investigate for myself. Yeah, right there.
Yes, it does open very wide, doesn't it? Wide enough to kick someone like you through, certainly, Mr. Naruhodo.
Why someone like me?
Oh,
What is it?
look, just here, look at this.
That's, without question, it's blood. Why would there be a bloodstain there? Surely,
It can't be unrelated to the case, can it?
the details of the omnibus have been updated in the court record. Yes. That's what I needed. Because I was on the right thing, I just didn't know I had to examine it to that extent.
Objection.
There we go. Now it's gonna work. That was the right idea, just I needed it to look better. On the night in question, the victim was fatally stabbed in the stomach, and immediately afterwards, the victim's body was pushed through the skylight into the cabin below. Those are the facts, and the irrefutable proof remains clearly visible in the omnibus that stands before us today in this very courtroom. What? That's utter humbug. You can't possibly have any evidence.
No, you can't. Oh, I mean, we didn't do it, I'll tell you. It's impossible.
Irrefutable proof here in this courtroom. Counsel, my lord, I believe everyone would appreciate a little clarification here, Where exactly within the omnibus is this evidence to which you allude? You will point out what it is that proves the victim fell from the roof deck through the skylight. Yes, I will. I will do that.
Got it.
There we go. By Jupiter, is that blood? This blood stain proves two things. Firstly, when the incident occurred, the skylight of the omnibus was open. What? And secondly, the victim was already bleeding when he fell through the opening.
Oh my.
And so it follows that Mr. McGilded, who was inside the enclosed cabin himself at the time, cannot possibly be guilty of this crime. No. Is that it? Order, order,
Hold
order.
it.
But, but, but. But the blood could have been sprayed up there when the fellow was stabbed inside the cabin. And only found its way to that one particular spot in the skylight, sure, and that would be very convenient. Ah. And let's keep in mind that the skylight's catch can only be unfastened from the roof deck. And I myself wouldn't have been able to open it now, would I?
But, there's no way to know for certain, is there? If the gent really fell to the skylight, I mean.
Why don't you have a good look at the floor of the cabin between the two seats, Mr. First? 'Tis all too plain, if you see. There's the aftermath that shows the poor fella dropped from a fair height. Right there, so it is. What? No.
But it can't be. It's all...
Lies!
Hold it.
My fellow jury members, I think we can all agree that this is clear proof of the defendant's innocence, can't we? I believe we can. Yes, sir. It's clear to me now where the filthy rubbish can be found in this courtroom. So, they thought they could pull the wool over my eyes, did they? Is she on? I don't know what she on. She on something to get that done quick. I won't tolerate any of the guild's carriages being sullied with blood. I won't tolerate it.
Oh, I always knew that nice gentleman who gave us that delightful part couldn't have done such a thing.
On three then. Everyone. 1, 2, 3.
Objection.
I knew that was coming. I was waiting for something. Chilling performance, Mr. McGilded. Oh, and what would you be referring to there now, Lord Van Zeeks? A bloodstain on the frame of the skylight? Such evidence is null and void. What? Why? For one extremely simple reason. That smear of blood never existed. What are you talking about? It's there for all of us to see, and it's clearly blood. Oh, because I was talking about earlier, the blood stain with the smoke and stuff coming up. Yeah.
Objection.
I personally attended Scotland Yard's investigation of the omnibus. The officers involved went over the carriage with a fine-tooth comb. So I can say with absolute surety, no such smear of blood existed on the carriage. At least, not until this trial began. But... Are you suggesting, Lord Van Zeeks, that this stain of blood was... fabricated, my lord? Yes, and while this court has been in session... What? Heh, what a palaver. I must say I didn't expect such crude reasoning from a prosecutor your standing, Lord Van Zeeks. He wants the truth too. But I'm Magnus McGilded, a fellow known all over the capital for his fine contributions in public life. I don't take kindly to slander, and I'll fight it to the bitter end. Even if it's rolling off the tongue of the Reaper of the Bailey. Mr. McGilded, I realize that this is your first appearance in court as the accused. However, I'm well aware that your involvement behind the scenes in a great many affairs of dubious nature. You're very adept when it comes to avoiding getting your own hands dirty. And each time it happens that a case you're involved in is investigated, you adapt the facts. Adapt the facts? What does that even mean? When you wield a fortune the size of Mr. McGilded's, however ill-gotten it may be, nothing is impossible. Tampering with evidence, manipulating the scene of a crime, bribing witnesses. I toast your ability to concoct the most convenient of stories, sir. Yeah, he is a storyteller. Tut tut, Lord Van Zeeks, this will not do, to be sure. Will it now, counsel? Oh, no. I think it's fair to say, this does all sound like a rather far-fetched excuse by a desperate man. The blood on the skylight didn't exist, you say. But, if yous all will cast your minds back, is this not true that the omnibus has been here in the courtroom the whole time? How could anyone possibly put a smear of blood in it without the world and his wife seeing? Isn't that right, now, counsel? It's true. The omnibus has been in full view the entire time the court has been in session. My learned friend. No, it hasn't. Here's to hearing your opinion on this matter, in your own words. As you wish. Could someone have tampered with the omnibus during this trial? If you're asking me, I think it could have been possible. As a defense lawyer, it's my job to advocate for the defendant as best I can. But still, I feel as though there's something even more important at stake here. There is no evidence to suggest that the defendant did as my learned friend suggests. However, in terms of having the opportunity to carry out the alleged tampering, there is one possibility.
Oh?
Good gracious! Explain yourself, counsel. Yes, there is. It seems my learned Nipponese friend has no intention of running from this deceit. Deceit? I'm sure everyone still remembers clearly the recess that we were forced to take. As a result of the smoke grenade fired by the witness currently in the stand, Miss Gina Leshrade. Bang, it's gonna do a flashback. Yep. We'll skip this. The courtroom was filled with smoke, and everyone was thrown into confusion. All of us were made to leave this chamber. In that brief interval, under the veil of smoke and in all the chaos, it could have been possible to steal inside the omnibus. Are you wise? What are you trying to pull, you rotten, feckless gouger? Feckless? Gouger? You're supposed to be defending me. 'Tis a wicked plot. 'Tis a plot to undermine me, so it is. Whatever do you think this is, it changes nothing. The facts are the same. After this courtroom was evacuated earlier as a result of the smoke grenade, a number of inconsistencies materialized in relation to the omnibus. Inconsistencies such as, to start with, the storage compartment underneath the rear passenger seat, empty. When the police investigated the omnibus, this compartment was full of the driver's items. Secondly, we have the smear of blood on the edge of the skylight. As I've stated, or as I've said, that was not present at the start of the trial this morning. Unfortunately, Lord, no one is able to corroborate your claims. That's true. When the omnibus was first put out, both the storage compartment and the skylight were shut. Accordingly, I'm afraid to say we cannot establish with any certainty if this evidence is the result of tampering or not. Indeed, my lord. No doubt there was not a single person who saw fit to verify such claims.
What do you think?
Sorry?
About the omnibus. Is there anything else unusual about the omnibus?
My lord. Yes, counsel? There is one further inconsistency. A mark that surely could not have been present at the start of the trial. What?
What in the devil's name are you gonna say now? If you dare betray me, you little maggot, you better start watching your back.
Objection.
I'm thinking it's him that did it. Silence, Mr. McGilded. The court awaits the defense's clarification. Grrr. This trial keeps swinging one way and then the other. I have no idea what's truth and what's deception. What am I supposed to believe here? I shall have to ask you to elaborate, counsel. Where exactly is this alleged mark that you claim to have appeared at some point during the trial? Is it the blood stain? This one? I think it's this one because that's the only other
Got it!
inconsistency. If we consider that the victim fell through the skylight onto the floor of the cabin, we would certainly expect to find signs of blood where he landed. But, as far as I recall, this blood stain on the cabin floor was not there when the omnibus was first brought into the courtroom. Good lord. Yeah, because I don't remember seeing it. Yes, I do believe you're correct, counsel. Well said. Although, as an advocate for the defense, one might say that was a very careless slip of the tongue. I believe that bloodstain on the floor is a decisive piece of evidence. But if the question is whether that evidence is genuine, or whether it was unlawfully fabricated by someone, I feel compelled to admit that there is at least a possibility that the evidence is fake. Is something music or something supposed to be happening? Like, ah, oh, that. This trial is over. Mr. McGilded, I've done everything I possibly can to cooperate with the court, but it's all over now. But you're the defendant. It's over, I tell ye. Oh, nope. He's not the defendant anymore. Memory, recollection, what people think they saw, it's all nonsense. Facts are what counts, and the fact is that bloodstain is there, now. Ah, well. And over the course of this desperate trial, long and extremely drawn out, as it has been, yes it has, at least they know, jeez, and y'all watching would know too, that good-for-nothing Reaper of the Bailey has failed to present any decisive evidence at all. I'm scandalized, so I am. I thought better of Lord Van Zeeks. Well, my lord? I must concur with the defendant. The uninformed recollections of an individual cannot stand as evidence. At this moment in time, the particular bloodstain in question is very much in existence, and in the absence of any credible method by which to prove its alleged previous non-existence, I regret to say that it would be improper for this trial to continue. Your lordship can't be serious. Lord Van Zeeks, what is your position? The prosecution, my lord, has no further witnesses or evidence to present. Very well. In that case, as I believe we have explored every possible avenue in this matter, I shall proceed to my adjudication. As a formality, I am of course obliged to confer with the defense first. What formality?
As things stand in the moment, it would seem that Mr. McGill will be found not guilty,
Yes.
which would mean we've won.
Is that really the right outcome here? Is it really alright for this trial to come to an end now, with all these unexplained inconsistencies? Counsel for the defense, your closing statement, please. Yes, my lord. The defense believes... I believe the defendant could be guilty. I'm here in this courtroom today to advocate for the defense of my client, Mr. McGilded. However, at this moment in time, I cannot in all good conscience attest fully to the defendant's innocence. What are you saying, man? Without any question, there is no conclusive evidence to prove that the defendant is guilty. However, there is also no conclusive evidence to prove that he is innocent. Good gracious me! Order, order. I knew that was coming before he was even coming. This is unprecedented behavior, counsel. A defense lawyer calling the accused's innocence into question. Are you of sound mind? Oh, 'twas a grand decision to appoint you as my lawyer, so it was. A grand decision. What? I must say, I didn't expect quite such an exciting spectacle at the end there, but still. Here, have this for your troubles. Your job here is done, fella. And some fine work you've done, so you have. What do you mean? 'Tis just as right as right honorable gentlemen so quaintly put it afore. The trial can't go on anymore. And your closing statement there was, how did you put it now? Nothing more than a formality. Oh. Wah ha 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 ha. Is he laughing because he got away with it? I really don't know what to make of all this. Was the, was the evidence we've seen genuine, or was it fake? His lordship would be fuming at any unsightly rubbish which should be disposed of promptly, I said. The stinking rich are always guilty of something, mark my words. I feel terribly ashamed that I ever doubted that lovely man who gave us the lovely park. Now that the proceedings have unfolded in this way, I am compelled to declare a premature end to this trial. Furthermore, the court must accept the defendant's plea. I thank you kindly, my lord. I'd send him to prison. I hereby pronounce the verdict of this court. Oh? But we still haven't determined if the blood stain in the omnibus is genuine or not. We don't know if these witnesses are telling the truth or a pack of lies. We have no idea about the truth. Lord Van Zeeks, my lord. The case made by the prosecution was flawed, plain and simple. If indeed the omnibus presented as evidence was tampered with, the prosecution is at fault for allowing such a disgraceful perversion of justice to take place. My sincerest apologies, my lord. But wait! When we were evacuated from the courtroom, Lord Van Zeeks ordered the evidence to be secured. I'm afraid the prosecution cannot shun responsibility in this matter. That's so unfair. The culpability of the defendant has not, at the present time, been established by this court. Consequently, the jury will not be required to offer judgment. What? Well, Lord Van Zeeks, it's been a pleasure, so it has. And as for you, my dear fella, I couldn't have asked for a better defense. Do you mean to tell me this has all been a grand waste of time? 'Tis the law of the land, my good man. If you'd like to pursue this matter further, you can always go ahead and try to change the law. Magnus McGilded. Good grief! You've more to say to me, have you? Just one thing. A warning. This is far from over. Well, something to be looking forward to then. Wah ha ha ha. I hereby pronounce the defendant, Mr. Magnus McGilded, not guilty. Oh, he's lucky. If he comes back in a later episode, I don't know if they do that, but I think the first trial, the lady somehow was able to get away in a sense, or not be arrested by the correct police. Maybe he's part of it, and then like it all comes together. I can't believe it. This is an outrage. They should have examined the evidence more. What are you talking about? The man's been cleared. He's innocent. With the courtroom in pandemonium for the second time that day, the judge delivered his verdict. And my first ever trial in Great Britain came to an abrupt end, with the defendant being found not guilty. Ostensibly a victory for us. I didn't press X right there, it just started doing it by itself, so. 18th February, 5:14 p.m. The Old Bailey defendant antechamber.
That certainly was a long trial.
Yes, it was.
Your first ever trial on foreign soil, and your first victory. It was a wonderful performance. My heartfelt congratulations.
And to you, Miss Susato, thank you for your assistance. I suppose we should be happy. The trouble is, we're still completely in the dark about what really happened.
Well, we didn't have enough time.
But isn't it wrong? I mean, who was actually responsible for Mr. Mason's death? We don't even know that.
The sole aim of the defense is to obtain a verdict that exonerates the defendant. You carried out your duty to perfection.
Aye, that you did. This little turd. Mr. McGilded. Ah, and that girl's with him too? Well, it seems the stories are true. Oh, what stories? About the 6 enormous fireworks they do be letting off when there's a verdict not guilty. I'm sure you have seen them now. Spectacular, wouldn't you say? Yes, definitely. Excuse me. I'd heard it's a sight to behold, and be sure it was. And I've told you to tank, I suppose. And I've you to thank for, I suppose, for having an opportunity to see it. Wah ha 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 ha. Oh, I don't know about that. I'm not so sure I really did anything. What on earth are you saying, fella? How did I walk out of there a free man then? I don't think it was so much thanks to me as down to your planning. You're a straight-talking fella, aren't you? I must say, you had me astray in the head there once or twice. But you're young and headstrong. Ah ha ha ha. 'Tis water under the bridge.
Congratulations, Mr. McGilded, on having your name cleared.
But nothing's resolved. There's only one thing that matters to me. Oh, aye. They've all seen that I didn't do that odious and obstinate deed. 'Tis grand, is it not? I suppose it is. Now the fine fellows of Scotland Yard can take matters in hand and sort up any wee details. They'll see it for what it is. They'll go to the truth. I've absolutely faith in them. So I have. After all, I do be providing a good number of their wages and all the taxes I pay. Wah ha 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 ha. Oh, it's not that funny. So then, as we agreed aforehand, 1,000 guineas for your troubles, fella. Oh, no, I couldn't possibly accept that much. Ah, be whist. You're a humble people, are you? You from the east? Well, if you insist. But have this, still and all, you deserve a reward. Mr. Magnus McGilded. Everything is ready, sir. If you'd like to follow me into the courtroom. Into the courtroom? What's this, officer? This sooner I was led to believe. I hope it's not inconvenient, sir. There were some changes to the schedule. Well, I must be making tracks now. 'Tis time for the inspection. Sorry? What inspection? They're going to examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. I asked if I could be present to it myself. Oh, no.
They're going to examine it again? Now?
Naturally, I'm under no obligation to take part in any more of this matter now, but as soon as an upstanding member of London society, I do be doing me best to help wherever I can. 'Tis a gentleman's duty, so it is. So then, fare thee well. 'Twas an absolute pleasure meeting yous. I hope you have a well of a time while you're studying here in Great Britain. Evil. And there he goes, a free man. Oh, I forgot she was here too. Oh, she just pulls it out like that.
Don't move.
Whereas I want to say, get a move on. She really does take forever to load that thing. Miss Lestrade, would you mind putting that thing down?
You're a grown-up.
Sorry.
And I hate all grown-ups.
Ah, there you are. Oh, I saw her in the cover. Oh. Naughty, running off like that. What kind of voice should I give her if she's gonna be like a main character? Is this some kind of picnic? Who is this little girl now?
And taking that with you as well, I was looking forward to the trial run of my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Ah.
Oh.
Oh, do you want to play? You won't be me. Grr.
Excuse me, but who are you?
Oh, good day to you. I'm, well, the inventor, I suppose, of that machine.
The inventor?
Well, normal smoke grenades are so dull, don't you agree? White, and more white. If you have to be shrouded in smoke, it could at least be a pretty color, I thought to myself.
Do we have to be shrouded in smoke, though? At all?
I just took my eyes off of it for a moment whilst I was changing onto a different omnibus and she pinched it. Luckily, I fitted it with a telegraphic beacon.
Attila, what's it? What? I have no idea what this girl is talking about.
Anyway, you're coming with me now, back to my laboratory.
What? What for?
To apologize, of course, silly, to my technician.
What? You mean, say sorry?
You must say sorry when you've done something wrong. Surely an adult has told you that before.
An
Adult? I don't listen to no adults. Come along then, follow me.
fine. Have it your way. Oh, good. You'll see. I knew you'd want to do the right thing in the end. I'm fairly sure that's what she wants is not to get shot by the massive gun of yours. Imagine the little girl just comes up to you and pulls out a bazooka.
We're believing now. Bye-bye. Oh, I'm sorry for all the fuss.
She was a lively one.
Well, do you think perhaps we ought to be on our way now, too?
Yes, you're right, but where to?
Oh,
We haven't had time to find a place to stay. No sooner had we arrived in London than we had rushed here. Our traveling cases are still with the bailiff.
I was originally planning to spend today in search of lodgings.
But at this late hour of the day, I'm afraid we may be out of luck.
Don't worry, though. I have a plan. If the worst comes to worst, I've heard of a lovely park where we could spend the night.
Please tell me you're not thinking of Miss McGilded Park.
I know it may be a little chilly at this time of year, but our usefulness will see us through.
I'm not so sure about that. I think a midwinter lending night will freeze a young person solid just as easily as an elderly one.
Oh dear, that doesn't sound agreeable.
Now I'm starting to regret turning Mr. McGilded down. That 1,000 guineas would have paid for a lovely room, warm room or mansion. It would have. I thought I was going to get paid that much and have the place. And so, the trial to determine my worthiness for the study tour was over by the end of our first day in London. However, as we were soon to learn, there were more trying times ahead, just as Reaper of the Bailey had warned. The case was far from over. Ooh. Cutscene. Whoa.
What's going on? Get the fire brigade! Water!
Oh.
Bring water, quick! What? How did this happen? I don't know, sir. By the time I got here, it was already engulfed. No one was supposed to be allowed in here before we started investigating.
Oh, what's his face, McGilded? Oh, somebody's in there.
No. Oh, good God. There's someone in there.
It's not the judge. The judge is okay.
This can't be.
Who was in there then? End. Okay, we finally finished that. Well, I'm gonna end this episode here. And then I don't know how soon I'm gonna start on the next episode, but the trial was, I don't know, I'd say it was pretty decent. Overall, I thought it was pretty good. There were some moments where I didn't get exactly what it wanted me to do, or maybe I just forgot from the first trial was forever ago, and I played that and recorded that and did that forever ago too. So I know it's long. So, anyways, if you enjoy, I plan on finishing up the next 2 episodes to complete, I guess, the first Great Days, and then apparently there's a second one in this collection as well. So I might play that, but I don't know. Because these games are going to be more longer wise since it's this type of stuff. Work out better and whatnot. So I'll see you then. Feel free to subscribe, like all that, share it, comment, and thanks.